Hello everyone, this is Dimitris, and in today's video we will have an in-depth look on the project budget cost management Excel template, as well as go through an example starting from scratch as a tutorial to show everyone how to use this powerful Excel template. First, let's have a quick look at all the features that are included with this Excel file, just to get an overview of what it can offer to any construction professional or even individual. As I mentioned, this file can be used by contractors, developers, property owners, and individuals who want to prepare budgets for any type and any size of project, prepare budgets, control their costing, and have a projection of the project's final cost. Some of the features that are included in this Excel tool. You will be able to prepare budget estimates with Bill of Quantities line data, complete Bill of Quantities. It can handle variation costs and change orders. It will automatically give you a cost projection based on the data for each BOQ line. You can manage some complete subcontracts with their budget estimates, their variations, and their executed costing. And it can also handle contingencies and contractor overheads and markup margins as a percentage. This template is a 5-level BOQ line data, has a 5 levels BOQ line data format, where a user can filter by any of these 5 levels, so you can easily get the data you are looking for, especially for large projects where you want to filter and easily find the BOQ data you are looking for. The 5 levels are executive category, budget category, contract package, filtering by subcontractor or supplier, and per construction area. We will go through this more in depth as we go over the tutorial example. There are also some preset reports that have already been prepared and are included with this Excel file, starting from executive reports all the way down to complete BOQ line report, where you can easily see the progress of your project visually and in tables. Some of the powerful tools that are also included is that each BOQ line can be controlled individually, where for each you can assign a percentage as a margin or not. Doesn't have to be per complete category. You can do this by line. Each line can you can have a choice to include the overhead margin or not, and the same stands with the contingency percentage, again per BOQ line. These are some of the main features of this template. We will now have a quick look of a completed example, and then we will start doing our worked example from scratch. But first, let's take a few minutes and get an overall view of the interface. So here we are. I've just opened the Excel spreadsheet, and we are currently in the BOQ data tab, Excel's tab. This is where all the BOQ information are entered and stored. Basically, it has a project name, very intuitive, a title for this sheet. We have an entry here for the contractor's overhead percentage. Currently it is set to 0, and a date field so that we know when was the last time we made changes to our BOQ. Now the actual line data are separated into different sections. First section is the description of each item, a basic description of our BOQ entry, the budget category it belongs to, and another level of filtering, the executive category. This is used for executive reports in order to make the reports smaller and have less categories. The next section, it contains information about our subcontracts, the subcontract package, the name of the subcontractor or the supplier company, and if this subcontract should include the overhead margin or not. The next section is our projects area. This is used for, again, for reporting purposes. If we want to see how much each area is costing us, we can do this by breaking down our costs into areas. The units of measure section, and then we have our BOQ numbers. First section is our budget, our original budget estimate. As soon as the project progresses, we will start making agreements and subcontracts. So we enter the actual subcontracting numbers in this section. Variations and change orders, if the project has any. Almost all projects have variations and change orders, usually additions rather than omissions. Contingency for each line item, and our final cost projection, plus another two sections at the end, a variance. Basically this column shows the difference between our final cost projection compared to our original budget, and the last column is the actual contractor's margin, how much this project is costing as a contractor's margin. Currently they are all 0 because our initial setup is 0%. Some of the columns in this table use drop-down lists. You basically click on the drop-down arrow and you select options from the drop-down list. These are the executive category, the budget category. In the item description you can write anything you want. It's basically your item description. Contract package, again, is a drop-down selection list. The contractor's margin, the overhead, is a drop-down list, and it only contains an yes and no option. The name of the subcontractor's company or the suppliers is a basic text. The projects area, again, is a drop-down list, and the units of measure is again a drop-down list where you can select your desired unit of measure. All these drop-down lists are pulled from the setup tab here, where we can basically write anything we want, populate it to our own project needs. Can use any type of budget category we want, executive category, the name of our subcontracting packages and supplies, any area name for our project, and you can add as many unit of measurements as you want. So basically when you first open the empty template. This table will be empty with a few unit of measurements pre-populated, and you will need to set up this table before we start entering data in our BOQ. So basically anything you write in these table columns will appear as a drop-down lists in the corresponding column in the BOQ data. The rest of the tabs at the bottom are basically pre-built reports. We have our executive report, our cost total projection for each executive category, our cost projection per area, our contract totals for each subcontract, and our variation between our cost projection total with the budget and the variances. Another report is the executive categories report by budget category, report by area, a complete BOQ summary, and a report by subcontract package. Going back to the BOQ data tab, this table can expand and add as many rows as you want. There is no limitation. Just by starting and entering information at the last row underneath the table, it will automatically open a new row, and this is how the table expands downwards. Let me go ahead and undo these two new rows we created. Now for big projects, this table can be huge. It can contain a lot of information, so it's easy to filter anything you want and see information that you want very easily just by filtering. Let's say we want to see our floor finishes, budget category that belongs to floor finishes. We click the filtering button and select only floor finishes. Now the table will show only the line data corresponding to the budget category floor finishes. You see it contains two contract packages. One is for the floor tiles supply, and the other one is for the tiles installation, which belongs to the building works subcontract. Let's say I want to apply another filter to show only the installation related BOQ lines. I will apply a filter on this column as well and ask the program to show me only the building works subcontract related BOQ lines. So we have three items that belong to the budget category floor finishes and the building works subcontract. There are three lines because we chose to break down each quantity per area for the reception lobby, treatment rooms, and exterior areas. This practice of breaking down your costs into your project areas is recommended so that you can control costs and see which area is costing you more or less. So let us see now how the numbers work. I will zoom in a little bit, make it clearer. For our example purpose, I will remove data we've already entered for the agreements and variations. And basically, as the project starts, remember we are seeing only the tiles installation budget related items belonging to the building works subcontract. The margin is set to yes, but because we have chose to have 0% margin, it will not add anything at the moment. So the first thing in a project is preparing a budget. We have our quantities for the floor tiles installation for the 3 areas per square meter, and this is our estimated unit price that the builder will charge for the floor tiles installation. Our budget estimate is 5,880 euro, and this is shown in our cost projection, 5,880 euro. Now, as the project starts, we will start preparing agreements and subcontracts for our floor tiles installation. The quantities most usually will be the same at this point, and we managed to agree as a lower price with the contractor. Instead of 12 euro per square meter, we managed to drop down the price to 10 euro per square meter. So our contract number, our contract total for this line of work is now 4,900 euro. This is automatically updated in our final cost projection. Basically, contracts supersede the original budget estimate. We had an estimate, then we prepared a contract with a subcontractor, and this price now is our cost projection. We can also, as the work progresses, variations might appear. Let's say for this line we had bigger quantity, and instead of 120 square meters it was actually 135 square meters at the set price. Now this extra work variation, 1,350, will now be added to our contract, and we will get a cost projection of 6,000. 1,200 was our agreement, plus another 1,350, our cost projection is 2,550. So the budget is omitted because it's being superseded by the contract. It adds the variation to the contract, and we have our cost projection. Let's say we're not sure how this work will finish up, and we need to add a contingency just to be on the safe side. I will add a 5% contingency. This again will be added to the total. Agreement plus variation plus contingency. Our variance is the difference between our cost projection, 2,675, compared to our original budget, which was much lower, 1,400, and basically we have over 1,000 euro variation on this BOQ line. Now let us see how the contractor's margin works. I will go ahead and remove this information we entered, just to make the numbers clearer. So basically we have, even though we have set our contractor margin to be applied for these lines, we have 0% in our settings here. 120 square meters times 12. Let's make these numbers even easier to understand, so we can do the magic in our head easily. 100 square meters times 10 euro times 10 euro per square meter, 1,000 euro is our budget estimate. If we change the contractor margin to 10%, you will immediately see the totals changing. 10%, so it made it 1,100. It's basically multiplying the quantity by the unit price and adds a 10% margin on the total. This is because we have set our BOQ line to apply the contractor's margin percentage. If we change it to no, the number will go back to the original value without the percentage margin. This margin is also applied in all the sections of the budget, the agreement, and the change orders, and in the total, as long as it is selected with the yes option at our data entry. I will open the floor tiles supply BOQ entries as well. Here, this was pre-populated from before. I will just go ahead and remove them just to show you that the table picks up values from the budget estimate, and if you have, as we said, if you have an agreement set up, it will the agreement will supersede the budget. If we haven't set up an agreement yet, the cost projection, the final cost projection, is picked up from the original estimate. So let's say these three first lines are our floor tiles supply order contract. Most definitely we will not sign all our agreements and contracts at the same time. We managed to place an order for tiles for this line. We've ordered 120 square meters, and we managed the price of €22 per square meter. The final cost projection is picked up for this line from the agreement section, and the other two lines are picked up from the original budget, since we still haven't made a purchase, an order for these tiles. For line entries that we haven't used, we haven't entered information in the agreement section, even if you enter a variation change, this will not be added to the final cost, since variation and change orders only apply on established contracts. So basically this is all there is to it. We'll just go ahead and undo all the changes we did very quickly and get back to our original table. There are, again, we have our budget estimate, agreements supersede the budget estimate in the final cost projection, variations and change orders that only apply once we have an agreement set up, contingency added for each line if necessary, our final cost projection, variance, the difference between the final cost in relation to our original budget, and our total contractor's margin, which, let me show it here. It applies only to the line data that have a yes option selected for the contractor's margin, and this is the total number that will go towards the contractor's overhead. Once you get the hang of it, this is basically straightforward. There's nothing complicated about the table, and it follows basic construction sequence. Again, our executive reports, we need to do a refresh. Once we change data, we need to do a refresh, and it will automatically refresh all the data in the reports. Again, we have our executive reports, cost projection based on our executive categories per area, subcontract packages, where you can see which subcontract is the most expensive and where we should focus more if we want to control our overall cost, and a basic table showing where we have gone over budget and where we actually managed to have a few savings. So the last thing that remains is to start from a clean, empty template and show you how easy it is to populate your BOQ management and control your project costs. So here we are. Let's go ahead and open our empty template. As soon as the Excel file opens, the BOQ is empty. Our setup tab with our categories and packages again is empty. We've only left a few unit of measurements ready set up for you. You can add as many as you want, and the executive and the reports are all set to 0 since we have no data yet entered in our BOQ table. The first thing you want to do is start setting up your categories to be used in the drop-down lists. First, the executive categories. This will be simply, let's say, construction, FF&E, decor, and I want to use the demolitions category as well as an executive category. For the budget categories, we will have again demolitions, dry walls, ceilings, fixed carpentry, and so on. I will just go ahead and automatically fill this up. So these are our budget categories, and our subcontract packages. These are basically all the agreements that we are planning to have. You can always come back and add more or remove if needed. I'm just gonna copy and paste them from our previous example. So these are our planned agreements that we are planning to have prepared for this project: building works, drywalls, carpentry, tile supply, wallpaper supply, electrical appliances and electrical subcontractor, furniture, light supply, specialized equipment, sanitary supply, and decor. Our project areas, here we will have the exterior area, the reception lobby, treatment rooms, and I've added another option for all areas in case we cannot break each BOQ line into a specific area. Now that we have entered all of our choices for each drop-down list, we can go ahead and start populating our BOQ. First, I will give a name to our project, spa renovation. Title is a project cost estimation BOQ. Date today is January 6th, and based on our main contractor agreement, there will be a 10% charge for the contractor's overheads and margin. So now we will start populating our BOQ entries. First, we will add the demolition BOQ, and we'll break them into areas. So I will say treatment area demolitions, reception area demolitions, and exterior areas demolitions. This will belong in the building works subcontract. You can also copy and paste. For the budget category, it's straightforward demolitions, and our executive category, again, demolitions. For this subcontract, there will be a percentage for the contractor overhead added, and our subcontractor, you can give the name of the actual company that will do the work. For the moment, I will write builder 1, and the area for this, for each line, this is for the treatment rooms, reception, exterior area, and as a unit this will be a lump sum amount, lump sum 1, since it's quantities 1, since it's a lump sum agreement. Let's say 2,000 euro for the treatment rooms, 1,500 for the reception, 750 for the exterior areas. So you can see our budget estimate has already started adding figures. We are currently at 4,675 euro, and the same should be for our final cost projection. This will automatically keep updating as we enter more information. Let's go ahead and do the floor tiles supply. This will be a tile supply for our treatment rooms. Tiles supply, reception tiles supply, and exterior areas tiles supply. These are all in a supplier order. I will call floor tile supply. It will not have a contractor's margin added to it since it's just a supply agreement. Our supplier will be supplier 1, and all these belong to the floor finishes budget category, and as an executive category they belong to the construction executive report. Again, areas, treatment rooms, reception, and exterior. This will have an area unit of measure, square meters, and let's say for our treatment rooms we have 220 square meters, 150 for our reception, and 100 square meters for the exterior areas. Next we will set our unit price, our estimated unit price. For the treatment rooms, 28 euro per square meter. For the reception it will be 32 euro per square meter, and for the exterior areas 20. I will skip a step and paste a few more lines to our BOQ. Basically here I've entered our tiles installation job. Again, it belongs to the same subcontract with the same subcontractor, builder 1. They will have the contractor margin added to each line. It belongs to the floor finishes budget category under the construction executive category. Our unit of measure will be square meters, and our quantities basically will be the same: 150 for the reception, 220 for the treatment rooms, 100 for the exterior areas, and our builder will ask for 12 euro per square meter to install these tiles. For the rest of the entries, I will just paste them in so we don't lose any more of our time. Just delete these two lines, and we have basically finished preparing our budget estimate, which is estimated to be around 53,000 euro. Once the project commences, the first thing we will be doing is start populating the agreements section as we start preparing contracts and supply agreements. The first subcontract we will try and prepare an agreement with will be the building works subcontract. So let's go ahead and filter everything out and leave only the building works subcontract. These are the items that will belong to this subcontract. The first three are the demolitions, and the last three are the floor installation job. So quantity for the demolitions is 1. We managed to bring down the agreement with the subcontractor for the treatment rooms to 1500, and for the reception to 1200, and for the exterior areas to 500. So basically now we had a budget of 10,879, but our final cost projection, because we've managed a lower price for the demolitions, will be lower, and it's around 9,700. For the tiles installation, the quantity should remain the same at this point, and instead of 12 euro per square meters, we agreed with the subcontractor at 11 euro per square meters. And again, our final cost projection has dropped down from the original budget, and we can see that for this subcontract, the building works subcontract, we have managed a savings of around 1600 euro. Remember, on these totals there is a 10% margin added to it. As you can see, 1 times 1500, instead of being here 1500, is 1650, because it has the contractor margin added to it. The next agreement we will prepare will be the floor tile supply. So turn everything off and show only the floor tiles supply package. Here they are. We went out to different suppliers and managed to set up an order for the treatment rooms and the reception area. For the treatment rooms, the price was a little bit higher at 32. We kept the price for the reception area at what we had estimated. So in this case, the contractor margin is set to no, so the prices are exact based on the quantity and the unit price. In this case, we still haven't made an order agreement for the exterior areas, but since our unit prices went a little bit higher than our original estimate, you can see that for the tile supply, our original budget was 12,960. Our cost projection is a little bit higher with an 880 variance. Remember, we still haven't prepared an agreement for the exterior area tiles, so the cost projection is picking up the amount, is using the amount from the original budget. So let's remove the filter and have all the packages shown. This is where we stand today. We had our original estimate, and we've started preparing subcontracts and supply agreements, and this is where we stand as a final cost projection. We have a small savings of around 800 euro. We will continue populating our agreements so that works can actually start. So I will just go ahead and paste in values for each of these BOQ lines as an agreement. I've just pasted in some agreements we managed to prepare with all the subcontractors and the suppliers. We have left behind the specialty equipment and the decor items. We would like to leave them towards the end and see how our budget is progressing, and make our purchases right at the end so that we are within our budget. Again, as you can see, our final cost projection for these two items is using the values from the budget estimate, since there are no orders yet filled in. Now, as the work progresses, most surely some change orders and variations will come into place. Let's say for our drywall works and ceilings, there was a small variation in the quantities. Instead of 175, it was actually 200 for the for this line, and 180 for this. So our subcontractor, sorry, I apologize, here we actually add the variation and not the total price. So we will add 25 here and 30 here. So our drywall subcontractor will charge a little bit more than the original agreement, and you can see this being reflected here. We have just gone a little bit over budget for these two line items. Another thing we can add is, let's say we are not 100% sure about our electrical subcontractor agreement. We might think that this will have some works, some extra works added to it. So since I don't have a definite amount yet to add as a change order, we can add it as a contingency. I will just add 10% to this work. The same stands with our carpenter. This was a lump sum agreement for 2,000 for the reception lobby carpentry work. We think that the carpenter will take a little more time and some more detailing, so I will add another 5% on this job. And as you can see, as we start adding change orders and contingencies, our variance from the original estimate is being reduced, and we still have our final cost projection to be less than our original budget. Now, what happened in this case? Our electrical subcontractor indeed asked for extra payment due to extra works that needed to be done. They asked for another 500 euro, and I can now remove the contingency since I added an exact number as a variation amount. I can remove the contingency since it's not needed anymore. And again, you can see our variance is getting lower and lower, and is getting closer to our original budget. The cost estimate is getting closer to our original budget. We still have the budgeted amounts for the specialty equipment and the decor purchases available to us. They are still being added to the final projection. So at this moment we can go ahead, make a decision, go ahead and purchase this specialty equipment. I will try and be on the safe side, so we made a purchase of 5,000 euro for specialized equipment, and all our decor purchases went a little bit higher than expected. So basically this is the idea. We keep on updating our spreadsheet as the work progresses, and we can stay up to date with our final cost projection at any moment, have an idea of how our variance for each line item is managing, and see how much the contractor will receive as an overhead percentage to the total. The executive reports, remember, I just need to right click and select refresh just for all the data to come in, and we can see our reports automatically prepared. Our executive categories includes a contingency of 110 euro, which at the end of the project we can remove. As the project comes to an end, the contingency can get lower and lower until the end, where it will become 0. And it also includes a contractor's margin of 2,500. Our project areas cost projections, you see the treatment rooms is the most expensive area. Our original contracts with each subcontractor and supplier, and our individual variances for each budget category. We can see where we went over budget. We went 1,000 euro over budget in the decor items, and we made the most savings in the demolitions. Other reports, these are our executive categories, and it's broken down into the original budget, contracts, variation, contingency, cost projection, and the variance. And the same with all the other reports per budget category, per area. This is again a complete BOQ summary, and a report based on each subcontract and supply agreement. So basically this is it. That's all that we need to prepare in order to have a complete and updated image of our project costs. We set up our drop-down list options, fill in all the BOQ data, first for the budget estimate, and as the work progresses, we fill in our supplies and subcontracts, any variations and change orders that come along. We can have contingency for each item individually, as well as the contractor's margin. It's applied individually for each BOQ line item, and the program will automatically give us our final cost projection together with our budget variance and the contractor margin.